Hey, all you Suite listeners. You just tuned in to the NetSuite Podcast. I'm your co-host, Megan O'Brien. We're coming off SuiteWorld 2024, NetSuite's annual user conference in Las Vegas, and it was just packed with exciting updates, fascinating customer stories, and amazing learning opportunities. We wanted to bring all those insights to you, our listeners, in a SuiteWorld recap podcast episode. We'll have several guests in this episode to cover the major happenings at this year's SuiteWorld, including NetSuite's vision for the future, new product announcements, freshly launched AI and UX features, results from NetSuite's annual Hackathon event, and other great highlights. So whether you missed SuiteWorld this year or you just want a quick hit summary to supplement your SuiteWorld experience, you're in the right place. With that, let's jump right in because it's time to get into everything SuiteWorld.
You're listening to the NetSuite Podcast, where we discuss what's happening within NetSuite, why we're doing it, and where we're heading in the future. We'll dive into the details about the software and the people at NetSuite who are behind all the moving parts. We'll also feature customer growth stories, discussing the ups and downs of running a company and how one integrated system can help your business continue to scale.
First up, we have Craig Sullivan, Group Vice President of Product Management at NetSuite, to cover the latest product updates announced at SuiteWorld, new AI features, and NetSuite's revamped user experience. Let's start with a fun one. What were some of your favorite moments from this year's SuiteWorld?
Oh, so many, Megan. I think if I was to really go right to it, participating in the product keynote is always a highlight. The opportunity to share with the audience all the things that the teams have been working on is always a proud moment for me and a proud moment for them. And I think the other thing is, SuiteWorld is, once a year, it's an opportunity for catching up with customers, partners, and colleagues from around the world too. And that's always great to see folks that I haven't seen for a year or so, back in person again there in Las Vegas.
During his keynote, NetSuite founder and executive vice president Evan Goldberg, he called AI a force multiplier that can supercharge NetSuite's ability to fuel customer growth. Can you speak to some of the new AI features coming to NetSuite that will help make that a reality?
Absolutely. I completely agree with Evan, firstly, and we also think that sweetness plus AI, where AI is operating across the entirety of the business data set, can generate even deeper insights. And so things like EPM and the narrative reporting capabilities, where it's actually using generative AI to describe, what the company's financials, represent, is an extremely interesting and time-saving new set of capabilities, as well as predictive forecast explanations, where the system itself will describe what it sees and provide explanations for what's going on in the forecast. In NetSuite Analytics Warehouse, we have things like Auto Insights, the Explain capability, the pre-built machine learning modules, and Data Interactions Assistant for natural language queries. These are great capabilities that allow not just the system to explain to you what's happening and what it sees in the data that it's looking at, but also then allowing you as a customer to interact with it using natural language to ask questions, ask it to provide additional information in the visualizations that really helps get even more value out of the system. Things like Prompt Studio, which allows you to tune how the generative AI and the text enhanced capabilities actually operate for you, specific to your business. And then lastly, but certainly not least, some examples from the developer side of the house, whether you're an admin extending the system for your own business, or you're a NetSuite Suite Cloud partner that's building a SuiteScript based add-on to the system. Things like the generative AI for SuiteScript and the Code Assist for SuiteScript are actually really great tools that allow you to get even more value for your business by actually leveraging the AI system underneath the suite, so to speak, as part of the add-ons and the extensions that you're making to your implementations.
One of the key themes in Evan's keynote was how a strong technology foundation is crucial for organizations to conquer challenges and grow as their environment constantly changes. How do you think NetSuite's approach to AI can further that vision?
The approach that we're taking is that AI is everywhere. It's not just about providing bolt-on tools, but building intelligence into the core of the suite and then making it available to everybody. We really don't see that future customers are going to be asking for the unintelligent version of a business system. And so by making sure that it's just part of the way that we build the application and part of the way that we deliver it to them, we think that that's exactly what customers are going to be asking for in the future.
There were so many exciting product updates announced at SuiteWorld. Just covering those here would be pretty much the whole episode. What were some of your favorite innovations announced, and how do you envision them helping our customers?
Yeah, there were a lot. A couple of the ones that come to mind, and not just because they were in my part of the product keynote, but financial exception management. This is really the perfect intersection of sweetness and AI. It identifies potential issues early so they can be resolved right away, even surfacing potential issues during sales order capture so that the system can potentially flag problematic situations that could cause problems downstream in areas like profitability. And the examples that we showed in the keynote and also in the expo hall are really just the beginning of what is possible with this area. So I'm excited about that, and based upon the reaction from our customers, it seems like they are too. The other thing I think stood out for me, and which I would encourage our customers to take a look at actually, is suite procurement, which was another one of the big announcements from the event. And it's not just about driving efficiency in what is a complex process for our customers, but also through the partnerships that we've forged with Amazon Business and Staples, it's delivering really tremendous value and cost savings to the customers also.
Evan also announced that NetSuite is adopting the Oracle Redwood user experience, which is an award-winning design system used within Oracle's cloud applications. Would you mind giving our listeners an overview of the Redwood approach and how it will benefit them?
Absolutely. I think if you look around you, the world has definitely changed over the last 25 years since NetSuite was founded. Everyone now has access to applications in their everyday lives via their smartphones or iPads, tablets, whatever. And many of those applications have focused on delivering beautiful and intuitive user experiences. Our perspective is that we don't want those users coming to work and being disappointed with how their business applications look and feel, how long it takes them to learn, how difficult it is for them to do what they need to do. The Redwood design system addresses decades of the business user being an afterthought in terms of user experience and delivers a truly delightful experience from the very first interaction. And as a result, this encourages engagement and accelerates adoption so as to drive even more efficiency for the user and hence the business.
Speaking of user experience, this year's SuiteWorld had the UX Lab, which allowed customers to preview and provide feedback on new designs and workflows. Would you mind giving our listeners an overview of the lab, why it's important, and how are you planning to use some of that feedback?
Yes, absolutely. And thanks for mentioning that. The UX Lab at SuiteWorld is literally our largest opportunity to engage with users directly and get their impressions and feedback, both on what the NetSuite application is doing today, as well as how they feel about some of the things we're cooking up for the future of the product. It's an opportunity to get their first-hand reactions to the things we showed on the big screens of the keynote and hear more from them about how they feel those capabilities and what else they would like to see. It's a really great opportunity for users to participate in our design process and help make the product better for themselves and other users like them.
Across all the keynotes at SuiteWorld this year, we had the opportunity to hear from numerous NetSuite customers like Vitalize Health, PRX Performance, Packer Fastener, Trace3, Soligo, goes on and on. What are some of the top takeaways from these conversations for you? Any stories or highlights that really stood out?
Yeah, the growth of Vitalize Health has been astonishing, and it's always a proud moment to hear how customers are using NetSuite as the system to support that kind of success. And it was great to hear how Jess delegates to her team the opportunities to explore and experiment with how new capabilities can help them do even more. And there were so many great stories from the other customers also, from the automations that they've been able to achieve in the office to the opportunities that's created for them in terms of work-life balance. And we heard that from Packer Fasteners, and we heard that from Trace3 also. And so that's really what it's all about for us is, making sure that the system that we deliver provides great and tremendous benefits to the business, but also is helping hopefully our customers and our users create a better work-life balance situation for themselves too.
Last question. So you've been at NetSuite now for nearly 25 years. How have you seen SuiteWorld grow and evolve over the years?
How can it possibly have been 25 years? It still feels very much like we're at the beginning of what is possible, honestly. SuiteWorld is obviously much bigger than the earlier incarnations, and where that hits home for me, beyond the size of the keynote room, is the size of the partner expo hall. Whether large or small, it's not lost on me that the partners that showcase their offerings there have made a bet on NetSuite, and to see them thriving and doing great business and also having a great time at SuiteWorld is especially rewarding.
Well, this was so great. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us, Craig.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Next up, we have Carly Nesson, a social impact pro bono project manager at NetSuite, to discuss NetSuite's annual hackathon event at SuiteWorld this year. For our listeners that might not know, would you mind giving an overview of what the Hackathon for Good is?
Absolutely. Hackathon for Good is a team-based competition that we offer every year at SuiteWorld, where our partners and customers can come together to solve some complex problem to help out a nonprofit. Every year the challenge changes, but the fun remains the same, where they're just spending a day or a few days, or in this year's case, a few weeks together in this friendly competition to see what they can create.
It's amazing. Now, who was the nonprofit customer our teams of hackers were helping out this year?
This year we were working for American Bird Conservancy. They're a nonprofit that focuses on conserving bird populations and their habitats. And they're doing incredible work across the Americas, including Canada, the United States, Mexico, Central America. They really span a wide range of services across each of those areas.
What issues were the American Bird Conservancy facing that our hackathon participants were looking to solve?
The Hackathon challenge this year focused on making sure we could help American Bird Conservancy prioritize their projects based on things like birds most at risk, grant availability, maybe contractor prices, how many trees they were planting in a given area based on how those trees would survive and what the risk levels for each of those trees were. So there were a lot of complex factors that were going into this year's challenge to make sure that we could help American Bird Conservancy distill all of this complex information and make it actionable data about where they should focus their time and energy.
It's all about data nowadays.
It
Now,
sure
who
is.
ended up winning? What did their solution look like?
We had a team, actually a return hacking team. It was pretty fun to see them again this year. They came all the way from Australia and gave us a machine learning solution. Every team gave us a machine learning solution, but then once they created a machine learning model in OCI, they brought that back into NetSuite and created a customized report so they could rank these projects for American Bird Conservancy and then give them information about why the projects were the priority levels that they were. So this winning team came up with not only a really strong model that gave them good scores about the complex factors involved, but they also had a really impressive interface for the customer where they could see in NetSuite exactly where they should spend their time and energy and why they should spend it there so that the customer could then reparameterize if they needed to and give some human insight into these very mathematically informed challenges. So they had a perfect balance of both of the sides that we were looking for. And you could just tell they really understood the priorities of what American Bird Conservancy was trying to do. And they gave appropriate weight to each of the areas that American Bird Conservancy said they would have chosen for themselves.
That's amazing. I mean, that was so many different factors that they had to take into account and create a solution for.
Absolutely. It was really impressive.
Now, where can people go to learn more about the SuiteWorld Hackathon?
Well, we do this every year. So once the SuiteWorld website comes out, NetSuite SuiteWorld, of course, there's some information about each of the programs and events that participants can take advantage of. And we're always posted on the website. So once the dates come out, of course, they release different information at different times. That's always the best place to go check is that SuiteWorld website and figure out how they can sign up, how they can get involved, and learning more about that year's challenge.
And for any NetSuite nonprofit customer that wants to be considered for future hackathon events, where can they go to get more information?
We would love to hear from them. We're always looking for creative ideas about what we can do for nonprofits. The best place would be to reach out to the pro bono team. The pro bono team at NetSuite is the one that serves nonprofits in that skilled volunteering way. And we do have a general inbox. We can be reached at pro bono_ww@oracle.com.
Perfect. Well, I'll be sure to put that in the show notes. Carly, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for giving us visibility. We love the hackathon and everyone that's joined us has loved it too. So I love spreading the word about it.
NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system, is everything you need to grow all in one place. Financials, inventory, HR, and more. Make better decisions faster so you can do more and spend less. See how at netsuite.com/pod.
Last, but certainly not least, we have Ranga Bodla, Vice President of Field Engagement and Marketing at NetSuite, who joined us to discuss his highlights from the event, especially some of the great learning opportunities, as well as how it's evolved over the years. Let's start with some of your highlights from SuiteWorld 2024. Any key takeaways or favorite moments that you want to share?
Such a great SuiteWorld. It was, this was another one for the books. Really enjoyed it. It was exhausting, but it was so worth it. I'll give you a couple things that were amazing about this year's SuiteWorld, and it gets better every year. Number one, the customers. Just so many great customer stories to share. Whether it was the ones that were on stage in the keynotes, and we had customers in every single keynote this year, Evan's keynote and Sam's keynote and Gary's keynote. So many different sessions. There were panels. It just was. There were so many great customer stories and so many great perspectives. Even selfishly, I had a fun panelist. There was a 5-month-old guide dog in training who was a panelist in one of my sessions. She did not really share many details about finance, but she was definitely she was right there with us in moral support. The other big things I'll share is the expo this year. I mean, we spent a lot of time and effort on really expanding the expo, really putting in not just sections that made it easier so that if you listened to something at the keynote and you wanted to go onto the show floor and kind of learn more about that, you had that opportunity. So that was one thing that we were able to do. We expanded the Executive Summit this year. So we had done the Executive Summit last year. We had done it way back a number of years ago, but we brought it back last year. It was kind of more of a pilot, a test. We way expanded it this year, expanded the content, expanded the whole track, and it was a great success. And then the last piece I'll just bring up is everything around associations. We had an associations hub. We had the franchise associations and buying group do a number of different sessions, and then how they coordinated with their user groups. Just so much networking, which was such an aspect of that SuiteWorld that people really enjoy and appreciate, even more so than sometimes, not maybe more so, but sometimes an equal benefit of SuiteWorld than the content itself.
I also met Mayberry, the guide dog in training. Huge highlight for me. She was just the cutest thing.
A little overwhelming for her, but I get it.
Yeah. I mean, it's overwhelming for all of us. I can't imagine that, but highlight of my SuiteWorld right there. Well, speaking of that, I mean, you're a longtime NetSuite employee and you've been to 12 out of the 13 SuiteWorlds we've had over the years. How have you seen the event grow and evolve?
Every year it's gotten bigger. We've expanded what we've been doing. We've expanded what's there. I feel like every year we learn something new and we learn something different about what our customers need, what our customers want. Obviously, our customer ecosystem has gotten larger. Our partner ecosystem has gotten larger. But one of the big things that we've learned over the years, the majority of people that come to SuiteWorld, they come for two primary reasons. They want to learn. They want to learn more about NetSuite. They want to learn more about the product. They want to learn more how they can take back information that they can put in place in their own organizations. And then the second thing is people want to come and network. They want to learn. They want to meet other NetSuite customers that are doing similar things. They want to meet other NetSuite partners. And then they also want to meet NetSuiters themselves. Like it's an opportunity to meet product managers, to meet executives, to meet so many of those things. And each year we've gotten better about really accommodating those desires. And, I mentioned just a second ago about the executive summit. I mean, that was one of the elements. The average user of SuiteWorld, they really love and want like very detailed feedback, kind of almost tactical sessions. Like they want to walk into a session about dashboards and they want to walk away with the specific save search that they can implement on their dashboard that they can go back, on the following week and put in place. But that's different than, say, the executive, a CFO or a CAO or even a CTO that's looking for how does NetSuite fit into their overall landscape, their IT landscape, and how do they make sure that they can continue to benefit. So what we've done is, try to put in place things like the executive summit that accommodates those executives, but also really partnering with our educational services team. So we had a lot more, I want to say 50% of our sessions this year were done by the training department. And that was really, as a what our customers have asked for, what they really wanted for us to do with the event. So that's one of the reasons that we really evolved the conference in that way. And it's, it just gets better. We learn more and more every year. We get great feedback at the event, and then we get great feedback after the event, and we take that and we really put it into place. And I've seen really the team just really accommodate that feedback and really think about, okay, what can we do better so that next year is even better.
And so one of the new keynotes at SuiteWorld this year was called The Insider's Guide to Scaling Your Business, hosted by Sam Levy, SVP of Growth and Operations at NetSuite. So he interviewed just an all-star panel of NetSuite customers, including Raw Sugar, Diligent, and Symphony AI, to walk through how they've overcome challenges to scaling their business, funding growth, and expanding internationally. What lessons do you think listeners can take away from these customers' stories?
This was a new session, as you mentioned. And as I mentioned, this was another part of the evolution of what we've done with the event, which is really getting people more information that's relevant to them. Are there lessons that we can provide to them that are direct from our customers about what they're doing to grow their business? I think one of the biggest lessons that was there are lots of paths to growth. And we talked about those different paths to growth across our value streams, on whether you're talking about acquiring growing customers or hiring and empower employees or optimizing your cash and profits. And we kind of looked at each of those different customers and how they were thinking about those elements. Because you had a products company, you had a services company, you had a software company. The common denominator across all those is technology can be an enabler. NetSuite was an enabler for all of these organizations, but it not by itself. You really have to couple that with a good product, a good strategy for expansion, and really thinking about those things thoughtfully to really be able to leverage it. as I always say, just putting in technology isn't going to, by itself, doesn't solve the issue. You really have to think thoughtfully, how is that technology going to facilitate growth or facilitate other things? And that really was one of the big lessons that I think people were able to take. And, it's what we were seeing from our customers just across even the content that NetSuite has been producing, even prior to SuiteWorld, just generally what we put out there in the marketplace. Our customers are asking for, give us advice, not just around NetSuite, but how do we think about how do we become more efficient? How do we drive profitable growth? How do we drive efficiencies? All of those elements. How do we go and go IPO? These are all things that our customers want to hear from us and hear what we're learning from our customers and be able to put that back to them.
SuiteWorld, it's a lot of things, but more than anything, like you've kind of mentioned, it's a learning event. What were some of the standout learning opportunities at SuiteWorld this year?
So one of the things, as I mentioned, that we were really trying to to increase the amount of training and learning that we could provide to our customers, and this was an increase from last year as well. It's something we've been building on. I want to say, and now it all starting to run together, but I want to say a couple of years ago, we introduced the concept of a learning lab on the show floor. And this was something that we did with our educational services team and customer success. And it really was the notion of how do we provide additional content, training, learning on the show floor. After that SuiteWorld, we took the learning lab on the road, and we've been conducting these learning labs across the country and driving this approach of a half a day workshop where people can come and they can get additional learning. And this year we took that learning lab and we expanded it even more. It was, I want to say it was at least double what we did last year, maybe even greater than that in terms of the sheer size of it. And it was a really great opportunity of giving people additional workshops where, and I say workshops, they're hands-on. You get a demo account, you get in there, you get to try exercises, almost as close to training as it could be, but you could still, still within the context of the main conference. It wasn't necessarily pre-conference training. It was, within the main context, but you could then go and do one of these workshops, or you could go and do a seminar and learn a little bit more. And that was definitely, I think, one of the standout learning opportunities. People were asking, like, how can I get more workshops? How can I get more access to this? Because I think what people want to do is they want to really focus and maximize when they're there on the floor for the 3 days that they have, for 3 or 4 days for SuiteWorld. They really want to maximize what they can do. And even though it's exhausting, they want to walk away and be like, yep, you know what? I didn't let a minute go by or waste a minute as part of my visit.
This is why we always tell people to wear comfortable shoes to SuiteWorld, because you're just kind of running from sessions to workshops, trying to get everything out of it.
It's the best thing you can do is get comfortable shoes or insoles or one of those things, because man, you were doing a lot of walking.
Now, what kind of feedback did you hear from attendees in terms of the value that they got out of these workshops and sessions?
This is, like I said, every year that feedback is, I want more. The feedback is, it'd be great if we could do 3 of these, 4 of these. They want to do more. And, they're really looking, teams of people that are coming. And we're seeing more of this where people are sending 3 or 4, or, if they have multiple people in their organization that are working on NetSuite, they want to send those people and divide and conquer. They want to, one of them go to this workshop, one of them go to that workshop. They really want to drive more of that interaction. And that's really the big part that we see.
All right. Well, you're a SuiteWorld Pro. 12 SuiteWorld. So for listeners looking to attend SuiteWorld next year, what would be your advice on how they can get the most out of the event?
I would say the biggest is you got to figure out your game plan before you go. It's really worth spending time mapping out your entire week. And I say even your social schedule. So, if working with your account manager, even now, like I think people, there are some people that are like, yeah, I didn't get to go to SuiteWorld this year. Talk to your account manager. We've already published the dates for next year. We generally know when it's going to be. start talking now about like what are you going to do, and how does it fit into your longer term roadmap of what you want to do with NetSuite. Figure out like, hey, I want to meet with these executives. I want to meet with these. I want to meet with my account rep. I want to visit these partners. All of those elements I think are really, really important. And I think the more you're telegraphing to your account manager and to the people that you work with, these are the things you want to do, the better off you'll be. Now, obviously that doesn't work for everybody, but as soon as you are able to, figure out the details, I think the better off you'll be. Because, unfortunately, kind of, if you just show up, and say, you know what, I'm going to wing it. It can be really hard in the moment to figure out and get to the right sessions, because things fill up, and it's hard to make sure that you get to the right sessions or the sessions that you really want if you really haven't spent that time mapping it out beforehand. But I think I really stress that spending, mapping out the entire week, even the social elements you want to do, whether it's I'm going to do dinner over here or I'm going to do breakfast here, and really thinking through that. I think all of those are really important.
Yeah. Get your restaurant reservations done. Big event.
Exactly.
Well, perfect. I mean, I'm already excited for SuiteWorld next year. Thanks so much for joining us, Ranga.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
That brings us to the end of another great episode. SuiteWorld is such a wonderful event to connect with others, learn more about NetSuite, and hear from remarkable businesses thriving in today's environment. I'm personally very excited about the direction that NetSuite is going, and I'm already looking forward to next year's SuiteWorld event. Dates have already been announced. SuiteWorld will be from October 6th to October 9th, 2025 in Las Vegas, so be sure to put that on your calendars. And if you want to learn more about the event, check out the links in our show notes. Huge thanks to our guests Craig, Carly, and Ranga for making the time to join us on the podcast. And as always, a big thank you to our wonderful editing team over at Oracle, and to all of you for tuning in. If you want more episodes just like this one, make sure you subscribe to our channel and give us a rating and review. Until next time.
You just listened to the NetSuite Podcast. Be sure to tune in every week with more NetSuite developments, stories, and insights into the benefits of one integrated system to help you run your business.